gas pump in the world.
That's bad.
So yesterday I was reading the Bible, Facebook Marketplace, going through the scriptures of cars for sale, and I noticed that the listing for one had changed. He was no longer trying to sell it. He said he was going to part it out. And my heart just instantly sank. I know that the joke I made at the end of the last video where we drove the S10 for the first time. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. It's a fun video. I know that the joke I made at the end of that video was that some people look for things to be grumpy about, and I look for old cars to save. That was kind of a joke. I didn't intend on this, but, here we are. Life is funny sometimes. So yeah, it was cheap enough that it hurt my heart to think of the car getting parted out. So I told Pops we need to go get this thing. So we hopped in the truck, hooked onto the trailer, and drove 2 hours to go get it. And here it is back home with the front end off of it, because he replaced one of the fenders and he was going to use the core support for a different car, but I talked him into including it with this one. But yeah, the car is really fairly rust free. There's two small spots that I'll show you in a second. But yeah, I just could not let this thing get parted out. I know that from here it looks rough, but it's really not as bad as it looks. The windshield is cracked, but all the glass is good. All the windows work. They go up and down. They do the cool like whoop thing, so that's fun. It is so close to looking like a Chevelle, so that's nice. A Chevelle is probably my number 2, like a 70 Chevelle is probably my number 2 bucket list car behind the 55. But those things are so expensive nowadays that this is probably the closest I'll ever get to owning one. So that's another reason I was just like, I gotta go get this thing. But I mean, that talk we had the other day about not buying rusty vehicles anymore, I have no idea what this thing was painted with, but yeah, that needs to get sanded down. We'll redo the flat black because I think these cars look good in flat black with the shiny trim. Yeah, here's the passenger fender. Here's the new driver's fender that he replaced. Again, this thing's not all rusted out, so I just couldn't live with myself knowing that it was going to get parted out. Now, the thing that sucks about that is he would not budge on the price at all. He was like $1 less than $2,000. Oh, I paid $2,000 for this. I don't think that's too bad for a pretty clean A-body, especially a two-door A-body. But yeah, he was like $1 less than $2,000, and I'll take the saws out of this thing right now. And I was doing my best negotiator impression for about 15 minutes, and he would not budge. But at the end of the day, yeah, I'm hoping to sell the Mustang this coming weekend, kind of cover this deal, and start throwing this thing together. Because it really, I don't think, needs too much. I know that it looks rough. I'll acknowledge that. It looks rough. I don't want to show you guys the interior yet, because the interior is pretty gross. Anyway, I know that this thing looks rough, but the only difference to me between this and the S10 is the S10's front end was bolted on. Mechanically, and like as far as a starting point for a project goes, that I think is the only difference between this and the S10. So like we would have to do the same things theoretically to get it running. I have a loose plan for this thing that I'll kind of talk about in a second, but I figured I'll keep showing it to you. As you can tell, this tire, I think, might have a hole in it. We might be able to patch that up and call it good. All the other tires are good. They're all matching wheels, which is nice. These back ones supposedly have been widened because these are 295s that are on it. Fits pretty good, so that's nice. We need to get the bumper back in place. And I did crawl under it. It does have the 8.5 corporate 10 bolt, and that's a dang good rear end. Those things can handle 13, 14 horsepower, so we'll probably keep that thing in there. It is all drum brake right now, manual drum brakes, which is just peak performance, and power steering, which I thought was kind of an odd combination. Maybe it's more common than I think, but power steering with manual brakes seems kind of backwards. But you know, that's just how it was optioned, I guess. The firewall and everything is in really good shape. The steering's disconnected because he swapped steering columns. He wanted the tilt one that was in this for the car he was restoring, so he put the non-tilt one in here, which is fine. I don't care about that. The frame all looks like it was in really good shape. We got some dang good tread going on over here. Like I said, all matching wheels. He replaced this door because it had a huge dent in it, I guess. So he said he was down in Georgia or something. This car's from Kentucky, still has a Kentucky title. So he was down in Georgia and he got this door and the driver's fender at the same time. And there's there's like 3 or 4 boxes of parts in the trunk. I'll show you here in a second. Oh yeah, there's the hood there. I suppose we can move on to the cab. Now, we'll start with the good stuff. Nice door panel. Doesn't have the armrest, I don't think. That could be in the trunk. But yeah, nice door panel. Has the window cranks and everything. A brand new dash that needs to be set in place. Look how clean this steering wheel is. He almost didn't want me to take that steering wheel with it. I do have the other door panel that's in the trunk. And then the biggest sin of this whole car is the seats. I think he said these are out of like a 2008 Cadillac. And man, they need to go back. They need to get out of here. I don't know if they're even bolted in. No. Yeah, so it'll be easy to throw in the trash. I'll probably toss all that on Marketplace, actually, for a few $100. But yeah, I lifted the carpet up. Floors are all good, so that was nice. Nothing like this boy over here. Nothing like that. And I already had this window down. It does the whoop, 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 whoop. I think the back seat I could probably just pull the headrest off and put a seat cover over and live with it, but I don't know. I don't know why I bought this. Well, let's see what's in the trunk. There we go. Oh, the headlight bezels. There's the passenger door panel and the ones for the rear seat. All sorts of stuff. But yeah, you can see the biggest spot of rust is right there. Not sure what that is. Skylark. Good badge. That's a $1,000 badge right there. Yeah, you can kind of see the original color of this thing, that like pea green. I gotta put the lock cylinder in this still. I have it. I ended up pulling it out of one of his other cars that was there. What am I doing? I just saw it come up and I felt like it was too good of a car to be parted out. Like throw this back on it, put an engine transmission in it, put the spring back in its place. This thing will be a good car for someone. I don't know for sure yet if I want to keep it. I do love the A-body shape. I think it's like an iconic muscle car shape. I might hold on to it. We'll see. We'll see. The plan first is just get it cleaned up, spiffed up. We'll probably give it the old scuff and squirt, get it all one color, put an engine, transmission in it, make it a driver, and see if I fall in love with it. Because, like, I want to fall in love with it, but I know I get attached to cars pretty easily. So that's kind of what we're thinking here, is just get it all one color, make it a driver, and see if I still want to keep it forever. Like I said, it was too solid of a car to let someone just take a Sawzall to, just because he thought he could get more money that way. Here's the core support for it. We've got radiator, we've got engines, we've got transmissions. What I was thinking is that 6.0 with the 4L80 that I was going to put in the 55, drop that down in it. Maybe, you know, I've got a turbo up there that's just sitting around. Maybe put that on there. And, you know, make it a fun hot rod. You know, something you can just hop in, cruise. I have no idea what gears are in this, probably like 323s or something. This originally, the reason he bought it, it had a correct date-coded 454 in it. He said that's why he bought it, is because he wanted the engine for the one he was restoring. And while he was restoring that, he drove this one for, I think, a year while doing the bodywork and stuff on the one he wanted, the 71, I think it was. And then once that thing was ready, he pulled the engine and trans out of this and all that. That's why he replaced the door and the fenders, because he was driving this around and didn't want it to be all dinged up. I don't know why he didn't fog those black too, but life's a mystery, I guess. Somebody better call Arby's and tell them I found the meat. Yeah, so this thing could tuck some 28 10.5s, no problem. So like I said a few videos ago, 2023 is the year of getting stuff done. So that's what we're going to do. Not necessarily on this one just yet. As bad as I want to just start ordering stuff for this, like a AC delete panel, because that takes up so much room. We got another project we got to finish. The S10's basically done. Like, I just have a little bit of tuning here and there, little odds and ends things here and there. But that thing's turnkey, basically. My dad sent me a message yesterday saying that he fired the truck up and moved it around. It fired right up. It was fine. Runs and drives decent. You know, that's kind of where we're at with that. So S10's done. Heck yeah. Got that thing built in more or less 4 weeks, which I think's pretty good. Jack, again, we're just waiting on warm weather so that we can test that thing. Play with the tune a little bit more, get it to get up on the two-step, which might involve sending the converter back to Circle D and have them change it up a little bit for our setup. So the S10, Jack are done. The 55, that's kind of a bigger project, so we're not going to get to that just yet, which means the Fiero. We've got to get back to work on the Fiero. Now, if you're not familiar with this project, this is the LS4 Fiero that is a little rowdy. Got a 76 millimeter turbo and a 5.3 aluminum LS in here, still manual. And there's not a whole lot of stuff left to do to it, so I need to get back to work on this thing, get this thing running and driving. There's a few obstacles that I have to figure out, which might involve changing the intake. I really want to put a Holly on this thing, just because after playing with the S10, it reminded me of how much I don't have the patience for HV tuners anymore. But I don't know if I'll do that, because I've already ordered the harness. I've already modified it a little bit. Actually, not really. I think I undid most of what I started to do. But yeah, redid the clutch lines, redid the brakes, so that's all good to go. So it's just wiring, plumb the cooling system, which we have a Mazir water manifold on it to clear everything. That is an amazing piece. A little pricey, but I think that's worth every dollar. And we have a Mazir electric pump up by the radiator, push everything back. So I have to wire that up, plumb stuff. Anyway, this thing's pretty close. I just need to get it finished. And then once we're done with this, then we can move on to the Skylark, the old A-body bruiser over here. So to wrap things up, I just couldn't handle seeing this car getting parted out. I think it's way too solid of a car. Like I said, there's just a small hole in the trunk pan. Floors are good. He actually gave me a floor panel that was going to be used for one of his other cars. He's like, here, if you ever need it, take it. But yeah, doors are good, rockers are good, quarter panels are good. Like, this thing's good. Look at the dash is basically brand new. Just pop it in place and that thing's freaking great. I felt like the car needed to be saved. You know, they're not making these cars anymore, so we got to save them when we can. They're not making 1972 Buick Skylarks or 70 Chevelles or stuff like that. So we gotta save them when we can. Otherwise, we're all gonna end up driving electric EVs everywhere, just going, just fucking miserable. So. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support and the likes and the shares. It means a lot. Glad you guys are enjoying the videos, and I'll see you guys next time.